Good morning, girls. I'm Dr. Kiran Deswal, Assistant Professor English, BZD Government Girls College, Sapura. Today, I will teach you this story, Roots, composed by Ismat Chugtai. In our previous video, which I have shared yesterday on our WhatsApp group and YouTube link, we left our story on page number 62. At the bottom of page number of 62, open page number 63. We see that Amma is very much affected by this thing, partition. She is very sad. Everything is painful to her. She, she is confused. She is unable to decide whether to move or not, but she is firm on her decision that she won't move, and if anything happens she will be stay there. She asked the question, to which land do you call your land? The land where you born. If it is not yours, then how can this strange place can be yours? Body and mind. If this cannot be one's own land where one has born, then how can the place where one simply goes and settles down for a couple of days be one's own? It is a rhetorical question, and we have the significance here that the place where we born, we grow up, if it is not ours, how can the other place can be ours? So this is here Amma is the mouthpiece of the writer. She is questioning. She is questioning to the movers. Where do you want to go? Do you call that place yours? If this place can't be yours, where you have spent the whole years of your life, if this can't be yours, how can you claim that the place where you are going will be yours? And who knows whether one won't be driven out from there as well and be told, go and inhabit a new land. What will happen if you people won't find shelter there also? If you will be replied that go and inhabit a new land. I am like a lamp in its last gap. I am in the last years of my life. I am the lamp. Here we have a beautiful comparison where the writer is comparing the old aged Amma with the lamp which is burning its last. I am like a lamp in its last gasp. A mild gust of wind, and all this fuss about choosing a land will be, or if a mild gust of wind can take away my life. Any sad thing or news can take away my life. After all, this game of one's land vanishing, this is a game where people are calling this is my land, this is your land, this is the partition feeling. It's a game. It is just dividing people, nothing else. And inhabiting a new land is not very interesting. Amma is saying that you are deeply rooted here. If you will uproot yourself from here, you won't be able to stable or establish again like this. So finding a new land will not be very interesting. There was a time when the Mughals left their country to inhabit a new country. Here we have a historical example. Mughals came in India in search of a new country. They founded here. The father of the Mughal Empire, Babur, established Mughal Empire here, but it also destroyed, it also decayed. So Amma want to say that nothing is permanent, nothing is temporary, nothing can be yours, things gets changed. And today you want to establish a new one, as though the land is no better than a pair of shoes. Here again we have a beautiful comparison. The writer is comparing the concept of new land with the pair of new shoes. When we replace our old shoes with new ones, similarly, people want to replace their old land with a new land, and it's not that easy. It's not a game. If it gets a little tight, throw it away and get a new one. This can happen with the materialistic things, but land, we are rooted, we are attached with a place, with our traditions, with our culture. So, getting uprooted from here is not easy. But she was silent. She wanted to tell them all these things which were coming into her mind, but she, but words failed and she remained silent. But she was silent and her face looked more weary than before, as though she, after her quest for a land over centuries, was exhausted. She was tired now. She don't want to say anything. And she seemed to have lost herself in that quest. Amma was lost in her own thoughts. Time passed on. But Amma stayed steadfast in her position like a banyan tree. So, the title of her story, Roots. Roots. The roots of banyan tree are deeply rooted in the earth, and it is not easy to uproot a banyan tree. So the writer compares Amma with a banyan tree. Like banyan tree don't want to leave its place. Similarly, Amma is steadfast like a banyan tree and she don't want to leave her place. Position like a banyan tree that stands upright through storms and blizzards. Amma is like a banyan tree. Banyan tree is never shaken in storms and blizzards. Similarly, Amma is also steadfast. She is silent. She has her own, though she is feeling helpless, but she is strong enough not to move. But when the Karwa, the group of people or the family of Amma, consisting of her, in which there was her sons and daughters, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren, passed through the big gate and got onto the lorries under police supervision. Her heart fluttered. It seemed to her like her heart is divided into pieces. It was heart-shattering scene when the whole family member left her. Her restless eyes gazed helplessly towards the other side of the chasm. Now she was looking at the house of the Hindu family, at the house of the Rupchandji's house, the doctor. The house on the other side seemed as far removed. She was feeling that that house also remained far from her as a fleeting cloud in the distant sky. She was hoping something. She was hopeful that some help will come from there. The veranda of Rupchandji's house was desolate. There was no one. Once or twice, when the children came out, they were dragged in quickly, but Amma's tearful eyes caught glimpses of those eyes behind the door and Ching's eyes that were brimming over with tears. She knows that the people behind that door are also affected. They are also weeping. When the lorries left kicking up a lot of dust, some dead soul on the left side seemed to take a breather. It was Dr. Rupchandji. The door opened and Rupchandji emerged with heavy steps and gazed at the vacant house like a thief. He was looking at the vacant house, at the Muslim house where all of them left. For some time he tried to trace the images of those who had left in the dust haze. failing, but he failed. His gaze wandered for a while in the desolation and got fixed to the ground. He was also in a state of confusion. Having surrendered all the assets of her life to the mercy of God, Amma left everything on God. She was helpless. Amma stood in the desolate courtyard. No one was there. It was empty, it was vacant. Her heart sank, and she got scared like a small child. Amma was afraid like a small child. She doesn't know what will happen now. As though ghosts would pounce on her from all sides. There were nightmares, fearful feelings. She felt giddy and supported herself against a pillar. As she turned to the room in front, her heart came to her mouth. Open page number 64. Here we have painful feeling, desolate feeling, feelings of despair of Amma. See, we can imagine how how will a lady feel uh, of whole of the when whole of the family leaves her with the luggage never to come back. So she wanders in the house like a child who is afraid. It was here that the ghungat was lifted from the moonlight face of the young and timorous bride. She starts visualizing her life. She goes into flashback. She starts recalling her past movements. Here we have flashback in this story where Amma recalls her life from the time when she entered in this house as a bride of Abba. It was here she is standing at the place where she came first. It was here that the ghungat was lifted. She is talking about the tradition of lifting ghungat by the husband on the first day of her arrival, when the ghungat was lifted from the moon-like face of the young. She was young then, and she was beautiful, timorous bride who had surrendered her life to her husband. In the room on the other side, her eldest daughter had been born. After marriage, she is recalling when she was pregnant and she gave birth to her children one after another. In the room, she stands before the room where she gave birth to her eldest daughter, whose memory pierces through her heart like lightning. She recalls the memory of her giving birth to a child, her labor pain. There in the corner, her umbilical cord was buried. She recalls every action and moment, which every ritual or custom or tradition which she fulfilled at the birth of her children. In fact, all her children had their umbilical cords buried there. 10 images of flesh and blood. She gave birth to 10 children. So 10 images flashes into her mind. 10 images of flesh and blood. 10 human beings were born in that hallowed room from the sacred womb. She finds that her womb is sacred, from where she gave birth to 10 children when they left behind that day. And this day it seemed that someone has kicked on her womb, because all her sons and daughters has left her have left her. They had left her hang in the thorns like an old snake. We have beautiful imagery one after another. Again, the writer Amma is lifeless without her children. So the writer is comparing Amma as the snake who leaves her old skin and get into new one. So Amma is lifeless, just like the left skin of a snake. The life has gone, the snake has gone, the skin is there, it is useless, it is lifeless. Similarly, Amma is also lifeless. She's feeling like she's sleeping on thorns. They had left her hang in thorns like an old snake slow and made good their escape in search of peace and contentment. It is very paradoxical that they her children have left for peace and contentment, but will they find it? This is the question. Looking for the place where wheat was sold for 4 years a rupee, it was rumored that things are cheaper in Pakistan rather than Hindustan. The voices of her children filled the room. She ran towards it with outstretched arms. She was in a state of insanity now. She has become insane. She is feeling like her children are calling her, and she runs towards that voice with outstretched arms. But her lap was empty. The lap that newly wedded brides touched for luck. It was considered a lucky lap, a lucky womb which gave birth to 10 children, so that their wombs would not remain barren. It became auspicious to touch her lap, to give birth to children. The room lay desolate, and she returned terror stricken. Amma is terror stricken. We can feel her situation. We can feel what is happening to her, how she is feeling. We can imagine how she is feeling. How one how can one woman feel when whole of the family have left her? However, she could not stop the flight of her imagination. She was afraid, and at this time she was having nightmares. Tottering, she ran to another room, the one where her life partner had breathed his last after 50 years of married life. After marriage, after children, she is remembering the death of her dear husband. So she stands at the place where her husband breathed his last after 50 years of their togetherness. Wrapped in the shroud, here the writer is talking about the customs, the traditions, and the rituals, death ritual, where the dead body is wrapped in shroud. Wrapped in the shroud, his body had been laid near the door. The whole family had stood around it. It is customary to fulfill all these death rituals. He was fortunate to have passed away. Now Amma is thinking that he was fortunate that he has passed away, because he if he had alive he would have been face all these. So he is fortunate because he has left before this situation happened, before this uh, calamity dropped. The whole family had stood around it. He was fortunate to have passed away, lamented by his dear ones, but he left me behind, I who lie here today like an enshrouded corpse. Again we have simile. Again the writer compares Amma with the corpse. She is lifeless, uncared for, but no one is there to care for her. When Abba died, there were people. He was surrounded by his family members, but Amma is so unlucky that there is none to surround her. Her legs gave way by this thought. Her legs gave way and she slumped. She fell at the spot where the head of her dead husband had rested, and where she had been lighting lamps with trembling hands for the last 10 years. But there was no oil in the lamp that day. But today the lamp is oil free, oilless, and the wick had burnt out. Rupchandji was pacing up and down his veranda. He is also restless because having fulfilling the responsibility of a father, he is also restless. He is also feeling that have his children have left her. He was cursing everyone, to his wife, to his children, to the government and the silent street and the strays before him. Also the bricks and the stones, he left none. The knives and daggers, indeed, the whole universe seemed to be afraid and cringed before his torrent of curses. He was cursing everyone. He was angry because he don't want to be. He can't bear this situation anymore. His special target was the vacant house that stood across the road and seemed to taunt him as though he had broken it. He was feeling like, I have broken that house. Why? Why I didn't stop them? Brick by brick with his own hands. He was wrenching out the things that were deeply entrenched in his very existence, like roots. He feels like roots are shaking, but felt as though his flesh would come off his body with them. Eventually, he gave up the effort with a groan and left. We will be continue. Thanks for watching.